In 1982, they said cocaine killed John Belushi, but his brother Jim knows something nobody else does. Now at 70, he's exposing the stunning fact about John's football injuries, the mind ailment nobody diagnosed, and the Hollywood cover-up that haunts him to these days. Here's what certainly passed off to SNL's wildest celebrity. John Belushi was born on January 24, 1949, in Chicago, Illinois. His parents have been hard-working Albanian immigrants who built an existence in America from the ground up. His father, Adam, arrived inside the United States as a teen in 1934. He worked lengthy hours in restaurants before opening his very own. His mom, Agnes, became born in Ohio to Albanian dad and mom, and spent her early years operating as a pharmacy assistant before dedicating herself to elevating the family. They believed in discipline and perseverance, values they passed all the way down to their children. John grew up with 3 siblings, Marion, Jim, and Billy. Their home became strict but full of love. Laughter became a steady presence, even when times had been tough. John had a herbal gift for comedy. He cherished making human beings snort, and his dad and mom recommended him, although they did not completely understand his skills. But John wasn't simply the funny child. He had an aggressive spirit and a drive to face out. When the family moved to Wheaton, Illinois, John discovered new ways to polish. At Wheaton Central High School, he had become co-captain of the soccer team. His competitive gambling fashion earned him the nickname, but his real passion became overall performance. He joined the faculty's theater program and quickly have become a standout. His drama teacher, Dan Payne, noticed something special in him. He helped John land a summer season activity in an expert theater in 1967. That enjoy changed the entirety. John knew then that appearing wasn't just a hobby. It turned into what he desired to do for the relaxation of his lifestyle. Music became another part of his creative power. During high school, he shaped a band with buddies called the Ravens. He performed drums and sang, bringing the same wild electricity to the stage that he added to football and theater. In 1965, the band recorded a single, "Listen to Me Now, Jolly Green Giant." It did not emerge as a hit, but it gave John his first taste of the highlight. Performing in the front of a target audience felt natural to him, regardless of the setting. After excessive faculty, John had a choice to make. He'd taken into consideration gambling soccer at Western Illinois University, however selected a unique route. He spent a year on the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, then transferred to the College of DuPage. There, he co-founded a comedy organization known as the West Compass Players. They performed in small venues consisting of espresso houses and church basements. The crowds were small, however the performances were electric-powered. John changed into refining his style, learning a way to manipulate a room with not anything however his presence. In February 1971, at just 22 years old, he took a first-rate soar. He auditioned for the Second City, Chicago's legendary improv theater. He had no formal training, but his uncooked electricity became not possible to disregard. He was unpredictable, loud, and fearless. The administrators saw his capability and gave him a gap inside the troupe. He changed into now one of the youngest performers on the Second City, earning just $150 per week. The cash didn't count. He changed into in his element, surrounded by using some of the nice comedic minds in the US of A. John Belushi's time at the Second City was extra than just an early task. It became wherein he fashioned his fashion and met the folks that might have an effect on his whole career. Among them were Harold Ramos and Brian Doyle Murray, comedians who would later depart their own mark on the world of comedy. Ramos became a tremendous creator. He might pass on to create Ghostbusters and Caddyshack, but in those early days he was simply another comic looking to make it. He and Belushi had become close, constantly operating on sketches and bouncing thoughts off every different. Ramos driven Belushi to experiment with exclusive characters, assisting him refine his timing and transport. Then there was Brian Doyle Murray, Bill Murray's older brother. He had a dry, clever sense of humor that balanced out Belushi's loud and unpredictable strength. The three of them, Belushi, Ramos, and Doyle Murray, became an unstoppable group. They had been young, hungry, and decided to take comedy in a new path. But the second Metropolis became just the beginning. In 1972, Belushi landed a role in National Lampoon, Lemmings, an off-Broadway show that satirized the Woodstock Music Festival. The display opened on the Village Gate in New York, and speedy have become successful. It became loud, fast, and absolutely ridiculous. The Forge was filled with future stars, along with Chevy Chase and Christopher Guest. Belushi fit proper in. One of his standout moments got here when he performed King Herod in a parody of Jesus Christ Superstar. The sketch, referred to as Jackie Christ Superstar, combined track and comedy in a way that made the target audience pass wild. The power of the display was contagious. The solid fed off the gang, and nighttime after night, Belushi proved he'd become something special. Lemmings ran for 350 performances and were given glowing opinions. Time magazine called it an uproariously funny spoof of the rock scene and its counterculture folks heroes. It wasn't simply some other comedy show, it was a launch pad. Belushi walked far away from Lemmings with more than just revel in. He had momentum. People inside the enterprise had been starting to pay interest. One of them became Lorne Michaels, a manufacturer searching out expertise for a new past due night comedy show. But earlier than Saturday Night Live became a fact, Belushi took another step in his profession. He joined the National Lampoon Radio Hour, a comedy radio display that ran from 1973 to 1974. Radio was a distinctive challenge. There became no target audience to feed off, no stage to transport around on. Everything had to come through in his voice. It forced him to sharpen his delivery and awareness at the rhythm of his jokes. The show additionally introduced him to greater destiny stars. Gilda Radner, Bill Murray, and Chevy Chase have been all a part of the cast. Together they created rapid-paced, irreverent comedy that could set the tone for what SNL could later turn out to be. John Belushi's route to Saturday Night Live wasn't easy. In 1975, Chevy Chase and Michael O'Donoghue pushed for him to sign up for the show, but Lorne Michaels wasn't satisfied at the beginning. He concepted Belushi's style, wild, unpredictable, and deeply bodily, one healthy the vision he had for SNL. But then got here the audition. Belushi walked in, did what he did best, and left Michaels without a desire to be at the display. Belushi had become a part of the inaugural solid along Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, Gilda Radner, and Jane Curtin. Bill Murray was speculated to be there too. However, the price range turned into tight, so he had to wait. The first episode aired on October 11th, 1975. In the opening cartoon, The Wolverines, Belushi appeared second on screen only a few minutes into the show, and already he became making an effect. But getting there were a combat. NBC desired cast participants to sign 5 12-month contracts, paying simplest $750 in line with display. Belushi hated the deal and refused to sign. He nearly walked away before the show even began. It wasn't until Bernie Brillstein, his quickly-to-be supervisor, stepped in that he subsequently agreed. He signed the agreement just before airtime. The first season of SNL became chaos. The set turned into unfinished hours earlier than the premiere, and no one knew if the display could live to tell the tale. But Belushi thrived in the madness. His energy became electric-powered, his presence not possible to disregard. He delivered a stage of physical comedy that few others may want to suit. That raw skills, combined together with his chemistry with Dan Aykroyd, helped shape the destiny of SNL, would lead to a number of the show's most legendary moments, which include the delivery of the Blues Brothers. But that becomes simply the beginning. Belushi's affect on SNL wasn't just about his power. It became approximately the characters he created, characters that have become on-the-spot classics. Samurai Futaba turned into one of the largest, A sword-wielding samurai turned into modern jobs, constantly honorable, constantly critical, and some way always hilarious. The proposal came from Toshiro Mifune's roles in Akira Kurosawa's movies. Belushi failed to communicate actual Japanese, but it did not rely. His overall performance was so committed that it labored. The sketches became a staple, specifically whilst Buck Henry hosted. Samurai Delicatessen, Samurai Tailor, Samurai Optometrist. Each one took the identical premise and made it better. Then there has been the Olympia Cafe's Cheeseburger comic strip. It became simple, a Greek diner wherein the best element on the menu become cheeseburgers, Pepsi, and chips. Customers requested for something else but Belushi because the proprietor wouldn't budge. The rapid-paced shipping, the exaggerated accent, the chaotic energy, it became one of SNL's most well-known sketches. People nevertheless quote it nowadays. But Belushi was in pretty much loud characters and over-the-top physicality. He had an exquisite present for impressions. His tackle Joe Cocker was so precise that once he executed Feeling Alright on SNL, it became nearly not possible to inform who become who till the actual Joe Cocker walked out and joined him. The overall performance was mythical. His Henry Kissinger affect turned into simply as strong, turning the former Secretary of State right into a bumbling, heavy-accented cartoon. He took on Beethoven, Captain Kirk, even Marlon Brando. Every time he devoted completely, making each effect experience like an entire new character. What set Belushi aside became his intensity.